So maybe I want this featured products to go all the way across my homepage, and I want to get rid of this white panel just for my homepage. So let's go take care of that. Let's get rid of this right side here. And if we go back into our design mode and we go to our default.html page, we're going to look for the right panel. So each one of these divs are holders and containers for information. So here's our left panel and our center panel. So this is our right panel. Now again, you can use Firebug if you're not sure what this is, and any changes you do here, you can always revert back to the original. So if you mess anything up and you're confused, you can always go back to the original. So I'm just going to delete this right panel. We'll save this and go back to our store, and we'll do a refresh. And now our panel's gone. But now next step is being able to move this center column to be wider. Move it over to the right so I can fit one more row of my products in here. So let's go to Firebug and find out what we need to adjust to make those changes. We're going to click on the pointer tool, and we're going to find the center column, which is, if you go back to your HTML default, you'll see that layout column 2 is the center column. So if we highlight this, it's going to give us the styles on here. So remember, style.css is the sizing and the width of a column. So our column here, if we look at content, which is the class content, it has a width of 590. So that highlighted blue is 590. That yellow over here that you see when I hover over it, that's going to be the margin. And then remember, the 0 is the top, right, bottom, and left. So it's giving it a margin of 15 to the left, that yellow. So what we're going to do is let's just see if this works, and let's do 600 here. And it did move this over a bit, but we want to get it all the way to the outside. So let's try 700, and it disappeared. So what happened there? Let's go back to 600. Or let's try 730. And there we go. We can maybe go a little bit more. 40, 50, 60, 770 does it. So our width of 770 takes our look and layout and gives us exactly what we're looking for, which is this. So why before, when we made it larger than 770, did it disappear? Let's see what happens. Let's make it 790 again, and it disappears, and let's scroll down. So it's being pushed down to here. Now if you see this, there's a float left, and what float left does is says, whatever's to the left of me, float left of it. Standard HTML wants to put it down here. So what we do is put a style on it to float left, but what happens when there's not enough space for it to float left? It gets pushed down to the bottom. Our content class, our layout column 2, is being contained within our wrapper. Now our wrapper is 980 pixels wide. So if we go to our left column, which is here, this is 180, and our layout 2 is 790. So if you add those two up, it's larger than our wrapper, which is why this is being forced down. So we can make our wrapper larger, and if we add just for now 1 in front of this, that will float back up. But we don't want to do that. We don't want to start adjusting our wrapper. We just want to make this fit, and we found out that 770 will make this fit perfect. So what we need to do is go to our style, line 397, and adjust our left, our content class to 770. So let's go do that now. Come down to line 397 where our content is, and here is the width, and we are making this 770, and we'll save this. Come back to our store. We'll close out of Firebug, and we will refresh our page, and hopefully the changes have made. And there we go. So we adjusted our style on our left column, and we adjusted our main content area layout. We got rid of our right panel. Now we have a store looking more like we want it to. Now let's take a look at making some adjustments to our header section. And our header is this section up here that contains our logo, our top menu, our menu, and our search box. So I like people being able to come to my site and being able to find the search box with ease. So I want to make this search box a little bigger. And to do that, we can use Firebug again to find out where this is and how we need to adjust it. And all we're doing right now is just adjusting the CSS, the style sheets. So I'm going to find the container that's holding this input, and this is called input, and it's sitting inside of a tag called form, and that is sitting inside of a div called search form. And if we keep going up here, we have our header and then a div called outer, and all this is sitting inside of this. Let's go back down to our input box, and let's see what happens if we take this ID of search form input and make the width to 200, and let's make the height to 15, let's make this 25, and that's a good size, but it got pushed down over here, so we need to bring it back up. So something is forcing this down. So what is that? So we can take our tool here and we can look at the divs, and we're highlighting the divs as we go. So you see that this is floating. So if we go to its parent, which is search form, and it has a float of right, so it's being pushed over to the right. But remember before, if something is pushing it down, it's going to be forced underneath it. So it's floating to the right, but it's being pushed down because of my logo here, if you see the highlighted box. So if I take this logo and I make it a little smaller, because I don't need it 700, it comes right back up. So we need to adjust the logo, and we need to adjust our search form. Now I'm not going to go into the CSS because we've already went over that. So you know how to do that now. But you know that in the ID of logo, it is in style.css line 298, and you would have to adjust the width of the logo. And then you would also have to find where your search box is, which is in search form input, it's in style.css, and we adjusted the two sizes.